Hey, Lou.
Hey, what's up?
Hey there, Lou.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm having a bad day.
Oh, boy. Well, okay. I'm going to start off by officially giving you a verbal warning for scaring the ever-loving bejeeber out of me when I woke you up yesterday.
Was that yesterday?
Yeah, that was yesterday. So I help get you up, and then you help get the kid up. But when I went to wake you up, it was
No, hold on. Let's back up. I don't want it to sound like I expect you to wake me up.
No.
You wake me up because you hurt your shoulder and you don't want to climb the stairs.
Exactly.
But Bryce wants to get up at a certain time and he has a hard time getting up. So somebody needs to be there to like shake him out of his sleeping bag. So I decided, okay, I'll do that for you.
We have a domino effect of...
I want to get up at 6:32, but I'll just keep hitting my snooze alarm.
Right. So I help you, you help me, we're all good. Anyways, I went to like shake you, and it was like you were all nice and toasty and warm, but you were sleeping so deeply that I couldn't get you awake, and it scared the crap out of me.
You were incapable of arousing me from my slumber.
It scared me for a second. It's like the dog has done this to me several times where I go, I'll like just shake her or I'll pet her and she won't respond. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, wake up. It's just like an anxiety thing, but it freaked me out. So you're on thin ice, buddy.
I'm on ice?
You're on thin ice, pal.
All right, so...
That's how I wanted to start this off.
Okay. I know you have a lot of stuff that you wanted to chat about. I have something too, but I have to go grab it. So you go ahead and kick it off and tell me what you wanted to say while I go grab this thing.
Okay. All right. So the 3 C's. I have this motto now where I'm done with the 3 C's, right? It's having children, having ownership, and having friends that are cats. And chihuahuas. Okay. So the cat, she used one of her 9 lives recently. I was trying to bring some flowers into the house, which I should know better after having cats like almost my whole entire life. I should know better than to bring outside flowers to the inside because she will chew them. So I didn't know this, but we have an azalea bush outside. So I like cut off some of the azalea flower stem thingies and brought them inside. And I put them on the little countertop where I have my other plants. And she chewed several petals. So she was on like a 24-hour don't die watch. It was very upsetting. So yeah, so she used one of her 9 lives, little Miss Dolly face. Scared the ever-loving crap out of me again.
Are you sure they were azalea bushes?
Yeah, so I had the older kid look it up, and they're azaleas. So then I had to get out the food scale and like measure and like weigh them and see like how much she actually, for her weight, she can eat. She cannot consume more than 0.2% of her body weight.
That's not very much.
No, it's not very much. And so I weighed all the chewed petals and it didn't amount to very much at all. And she threw up all over the place. So,
but she's doing all right this morning, right?
She's fine. We're at like 2 days now, so she's fine. But she's down to like 7 or 8 lives now. I think the beginning of her life, she used up one of them.
She's
because old. Yeah, we've had her a very long time. She was only like a few weeks old when we first got her. Yeah. And unfortunately, I'm very against pet stores in the first place, but we were at the mall in Idaho and this pet store was having a closing sale, if you can fucking believe that shit.
Going out of business.
Yeah. And so I didn't know.
Why did that make you so angry?
Well, because first of all, pet stores are just evil. And second of all, they're going out of business. So who knows where those animals will eventually end up, either taken to a local pound or it's just a terrible situation all over the place. So we went in there and we saw her and she had like this little black mustache and it was really, she looked like a Salvador Dali painting. And so
No, she literally looked like Salvador Dali.
Well, yeah, that too.
And I was like, oh, we need this cat.
Yeah. So Dolly, but I think she used one of her lives that at that point too, and then just recently.
Yeah, I guess we should explain that, right? Like her full name is Dolly Salvadora.
Yeah.
And it's spelled D-A-L-I after Salvador Dali, not Dolly Parton. Who is Dolly Parton anyway?
Anyways, so I'm done with the 3 C's.
Right.
They've all given me hassles this week.
I'll believe it when I see it.
It's true. No more cats, no more chihuahuas, and no more children. There you go.
Well, yeah.
3 C's.
Yeah, but you were telling me that the other day, and then you said, unless like one steals my heart away. And I'm like, you're not done with that thing. You don't.
I'm so done. I'm done with all of it.
You might be done with children just because, we've said this, Fred was our last kid and you are, getting to the point where the doctors are like, don't do it.
Well, even
and you go, I'm not going to do it. I did it.
Well, even she was technically called a geriatric pregnancy. So, I mean.
Right. But.
Anything over 35 and you're elderly at that point.
You were 38, right? And I'm
No, I was 30, almost 36.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. That never sat well with me.
Nah.
I get why they say that, but
because for women, however old you are at the time of conception that's how old your egg is too. And so that she was a 36-year-old egg, right? It's going to be a little bit different than a 20-year-old egg.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, we do all kinds of weird math around age anyways.
Yeah, it's all BS. I'm all for people having babies whenever they, are ready and want them.
Yeah.
And are capable of taking care of them and, loving them the way that they deserve to be. But it's tough, dude. I'm done with it.
Yeah.
I love them, but some days, man.
I mean, that's it. Like that's any other.
It's my job.
Being, right?
So it's 24/7.
So speaking of jobs, not Steve Jobs, but just jobs. At my job, we do this thing every day where we write in a little message into the group's general chat. Mm-hmm. I'm sure a lot of teams do this. I've done this at other places too, but you write in what you worked on yesterday, what you plan on working on today, and then if you have any blockers. So
what are blockers though?
Blockers are anything that is preventing you from doing the things that you want to do. Like I have to go pick up my kids or there's a thunderstorm and I might lose power, stuff like that. Right.
I see.
But most of the time I just write none because like I don't have many blockers working from home. Mm-hmm. And also the work that I'm doing doesn't have a lot of other people coming in. And like a lot of times blockers are generated from other people needing something or you needing something from them.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of that because the work I'm doing is very theoretical and, it's not theoretical because I'm actually producing stuff, but it's slower paced and it's not like people are waiting on me, though some people are waiting on me. Anyways, so I got tired of writing just none in there. So I decided I'm going to just write it started as I was just going to write a goofy thing in there. Mm-hmm. So on April 18th, I wrote in the blocker section, I wrote, as of this moment in time, from my limited 3-dimensional point of view, nothing. If I gain a 4-dimensional point of view at some point, that may change, but it will most definitely cause me some grief at a perceived loss until my brain acclimates to this new normal. I'll keep you posted. No responses. Look, I have a history of doing weird shit at work just because I'm bored. And so I'm like, I wonder what would happen if like I came out of the bathroom with my hair all wet. Or what if when I'm walking down the hallway and somebody starts walking at me, I just walk sideways out of view into a hallway. Anyways, so nobody said anything. And I was like, okay. So the next day I got up and I was like, okay, this is now a story. Mm-hmm. So on the 19th, I said, so far, so good. Still haven't been tarnished with the 4th sight. So perhaps my days will be more or less unblemished by the woes and wails of the souls trapped betwixt this and their dimensions.
What?
Still nothing.
I wonder why. People are like, what the hell is happening?
So on the 20th, I said, as the days pass, I sit firmly on the edge of the infinite gap between our dimension and theirs. Anxiety bubbles tickling my nose in anticipation of the gift of fourth sight. Is it a gift? My mind wanders in wonder, or am I just trying to convince myself in a vain attempt to subdue the fear burning a hole through my chest? Nothing.
Nothing, still nothing.
I'm like, what is going on? It's like, are people reading? Are people reading these things? So on the 21st, I was like, the fear, molten as it erupts through me. My body is shaking and shivering from the rush of adrenaline, worry swirling through my brain and stiffening my neck. I can feel the fourth sight burning me from the inside. The screams of those traps betwixt echoing in my skull. My eyes can't contain the fire. It pours out madness.
Are you okay? Are you all right? You're having a week.
Here's what I want you to know. The way that this is playing out is I'm just getting up, looking and seeing nobody said anything, looking at what I wrote the day before and saying, how do I continue this?
Yeah.
And then writing it on the spot as I'm writing the rest of my update. This isn't something I wrote beforehand. I'm ad-libbing it. I'm freestyling here. Right. So on the 22nd, I'm still nothing. I said, I feel the cold stippling of the gravel road on my cheek, my shoulder tight, a pinch in my hip as I push myself up off the ground, dirt and tiny pebbles sticking to my face and clothes. The brightness of the sun is turned up to 11 as it rises over the horizon. In the distance, I can see the silhouette of a barn. I have no idea where I am or how I got here. Am I even here? Nothing.
You're like, hello, is this thing on?
Nothing. So that was Friday, weekend. I'm not writing these on the weekend. I don't open the lap. I don't open the lappy on the weekend.
Right.
So Monday morning, I'm like, okay, you guys, this is it. Now this is a story I'm writing now. So the 25th, Monday, I said it took an eternity to reach the distant barn, but now here beside it, the scattered, sharp, almost splinters pressing into my palm as I lean weakly against its massive red side. I can feel this. It is real. Am I real? Inside, I can hear something disturbing, a soft moaning, pain. I struggle to move towards the sound.
Nothing.
One of my coworkers comments, emoji eating popcorn.
Which is what we've been theorizing, the kids and I, is that people are they're like, just wait. They don't want to say anything and spook you from like the finishing of the story. Right. They're just like, what's it going to be today?
The popcorn emoji was a bad move because,
oh, no.
Because now.
What did you say this morning?
26th this morning. I said, my palm scraping along the barn's side as I slowly approach the open front. Caution and awareness, my only senses. The moaning has gotten louder. It's wailing now. Distress in the notes as they float through the air. So close. My anxiety holds me back, paralyzed. Just look, I can't. I retreat to the safety of the massive red wall. I feel the rough facade digging into my shoulder. I'm breathing too heavy now. My heart is racing. I need to calm down. I can't. The screams are tearing me apart. I collapse.
Oh, no. Anything?
To be continued. Yes. Another coworker, a different coworker, says, I'm really sorry for your Blockers Odyssey.
It is an odyssey at this point.
But I loved the Vandermeerness of it. I was like, okay. So I had to look up who Vandermeer is. He's an author, dabbles in the weird. So felt like a compliment. I'm going to take it as a compliment.
Just take it as a compliment, yeah.
The story shall continue. When I tire of it, or whenever I end it, I shall put it all on my blog. I decree it so.
If anything, it's like it's a little creative outlet.
It's sort of becoming like that that thing that artists sometimes do is like warm-up sketches. Mm-hmm. It's kind of that, like what I'm doing. It's writing those, like, just a little warm-up piece in the morning to get my head going.
Yeah. I do that with the kids with homework sometimes. I'll just have them do a little free write, a little free like 15-minute writing thing just about whatever's in their head.
Yeah. I don't know. I really like writing and I'd like to be able to do it for a living, but I have this fear that holds me back that I'm not good enough at it. And then also just this knowledge and realism of, celebrity is bad and I don't want that for myself. But at the same time, if you're creating art, you're creating it because you want somebody to enjoy it.
Well, also you want somebody to see a part of you that you're that you're very vulnerable about. So it's about like showing parts of you without saying, "Hey, look at this is part of me."
Yeah, that is true. In order for my writing to become a sustainable career, it would also require it to have some level of fame, even if that fame is smaller, right? Like you have all kinds of levels in writing, right? Like you have Stephen King, who most people know, right? Nobody would say Stephen King is writing like amazing world-changing literature, but he's got this level of fame. Stephen King, people go, oh yeah, he writes books, right? Like Carrie, right? People know a lot of his stuff has been turned into movies. And then you have people that are similar to him, like Kuntz and Crichton, right? But then you have a lot of writers that you've probably never even heard of, like who are writing a bunch of fantasy trilogies and quadrilogies, like Sanderson, right? Or if you haven't heard of Game of Thrones, which is unlikely at this point because of the HBO show, but before the HBO show, George R.R. Martin was one of those guys, right? But now he's like much bigger. So you either have to do that or you have to be like one of the guys that nobody's ever heard of and write so much. Yeah. Right? But what I want to do is I want to write stories that are more like shorter, not novellas, but stuff like the length that like Palahniuk writes or like Vonnegut writes. They're novels, but they're 200 pages, not 800 page trilogy tomes. Yeah. But I can't do that at all if nobody's reading. And if nobody's reading, then they don't want to pay me to write. And if they pay me to write, that means people are reading. That means there's a fan base, and then there's people I'm beholden to. Yeah. And there's all kinds of weird stuff that comes along with even minor celebrity. Yeah. That I don't know that I have the mental fortitude to deal with. So I don't know how. It's
just fear and anxiety, right?
A lot of that is fear and anxiety, but I don't know how to overcome the idea that, and some of that is also like ego saying, "Oh, I'm good enough to become."
Yeah, but you gotta have some of that. I want to write. I want to do kids' books. I want to do that are in a subject matter that we don't usually get to see, because I get the kids lots of books anyways, and the ones that, like, I'm not knocking Goodnight Moon at all, but that doesn't seem too hard, right? That's a pretty low bar just to. But also at the same time, that's a huge market. And then how do you stand out and
but I think
all that stuff?
I think you look at something like Goodnight Moon and you go, oh, that probably wasn't that hard. But then you think about it a little bit and you go, oh, actually, maybe that was really a lot of work.
Yeah, but I mean, it's an insane selling book. So like, what is the draw?
Simplicity is the draw,
I
right?
Guess,
like,
yeah.
I think about that a lot. Like you can go several different ways with content you produce. And if you want your content to be academic or you want it to be smart, you're going to have a smaller audience just because.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you make it more common denominator, your audience is going to be larger. There is a reason that Marvel movies do big numbers at the box office, and then movies like Coda, although it won Best Picture and it was, by all accounts, a fabulous movie. I haven't seen it yet. It did not do the box office numbers, right? It didn't make the amount of money that a Marvel movie makes. That's because the majority of people are like, I want to go watch buildings blow up and heroes punch each other with superpowers.
That's true.
I don't want to watch a, air quotes, boring story about deaf people. I don't have any connection to that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying
Right.
that's what majority of people do.
Oh, so
right?
like it's too smart or too thinky or too.
Right. And that's why a lot of the best comedies on television get canceled because they're too smart and
Yeah.
people want shit and fart jokes.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of like jokes that twist you around and make you go, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Make you think. And,
Right.
Yeah.
Or quirky stuff. Like a really good example of quirky stuff is the Pushing Daisies.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was only on for 2 seasons because it was too much
Yeah.
for most people. And so, you know, most people, there's a very explicit reason that Roseanne did as well as it did for as long as it did.
I see.
Because
It was more relatable.
more relatable, people were like, oh, that's my life.
I get it.
That's my life. I can't afford a new couch.
Yeah,
I'm worried about
right.
where I'm going to pay the bills from.
Yeah.
That's relatable for a huge number of people.
Yeah.
And the people that's not relatable to probably aren't really watching a lot of TV.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you can go like, it happens in board games too. I'm looking over at the board game wall. Happens in board games too, is you have games that are like,
Really.
let's chuck dice and eat pretzels and drink beers.
Right.
And those sell 1 million copies because they're fun. And you laugh and you have a good time. And then there's games that sell 1,000 copies.
And it's a full-time job. I get
It feels like you're doing a spreadsheet,
Right.
right?
Right.
But there's an audience for each of those things.
Yeah.
But you have to decide, what do you want? What's the audience you want to do things for? And for me, writing, I want to do an audience for, you know, a certain type of story, the kind of stories I would be interested in reading. Like I'm writing for myself mostly,
Yeah.
right? And I
Yeah.
hope that there's enough people out there that would also like to read it. Otherwise, what's the point of doing all of that work when I can just get the same like dopamine hit by doing these little
Yeah.
blocker stories or whatever. I want to do a thing called bite-sized fiction, and it's just these little
Oh, yeah.
nuggets.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. I've been trying to figure out a way to make my fiction writing something that is a draw digitally, right? Because there's a low barrier to entry to publish digitally. So if I can get stuff out there and get people reading, but the problem is like my website doesn't have any sort of engagement methods, right? There, you can email me, but that's a big old hassle. You can't just comment or like it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if people are reading my stories and enjoying them unless somebody comes up and tells me in person, like I've had happen.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, this podcast, right? We don't know if
Well, we have more metrics on the podcast because we're tracking the
our
views and stuff.
our 4 listeners, you know.
Right. Well,
we don't know.
No, we talked about this, like 30 something people,
Whoa.
15 on YouTube, 14 on Spotify.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And I can go look at my website and I can go, oh, okay, I've got 500 visitors this month, but what were they reading? Or were they just looking at drawings? Or were they just coming by my about page to learn more about, you know, my insanity?
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's no way to know, right?
Yeah.
I can't break it down like that. With the podcast, we can go, oh, somebody listened to it. This
Yeah.
episode specifically because of the tools we're using. And I could probably set that up at my website to go, oh, somebody spent 22 minutes on this page. They clearly read it.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't tell me if they liked it.
Yeah. And I guess you just wouldn't know. So art has to be more for you than for someone else.
And I kind of don't want to know.
Exactly. There's an element to that too.
I mean, I do want to know because I'm morbidly curious about everything. And I've got the ego part of me wants somebody to be like, hey man, good. Nice one. But mostly I don't want to know.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Well, that kind of ties into another little thing. Just the little things that make you happy. What are some, so I'll go first while you think about it, but like
potatoes.
Just
Did you like that?
Yes.
That was a reference callback to our last episode.
Callback jokes, love them. And so I was thinking about that, just the little things that make your brain go, ooh, yeah. So for me, it's when sticky notes arrive in the mail.
I love sticky notes.
I got some sticky notes this week and I was like, ooh, and I couldn't like hold it in. I couldn't contain it. It just like came out and I was like, ooh, I just got like a little happy dopamine spike for a minute. And then Another one is my warm cup of coffee in the morning. Our oldest, he warms up my coffee and he puts creamer in it and stuff so that when I'm done like doing my morning chores and feeding the kid and stuff, I can just sit down and have a warm cup of coffee. That's always nice.
So little things. Potatoes for sure. I do really like potatoes, especially, with rosemary.
Yes. I'm growing you some rosemary.
I saw. It's beautiful. I like getting a new game in the mail because I know I get to like sort it and
punch out all the pieces,
catalog it. And there's something about like, I like playing the games, but there's something about cataloging and tracking. And
that's a collector's thing, right?
It's a collector's thing. Yeah. Anything that's tinier than it's supposed to be. Like I just grabbed these little dice that I got recently, but they're little tiny.
Oh, they are actually tiny.
They're super tiny dice.
They're tinier than they should be dice.
Yeah.
Oh, cute.
Maybe I'll put a picture.
Maybe that'll be this week's picture. It's a tiny little dice.
Yeah, because they're adorable.
Yeah.
But anything that is smaller or larger by a large amount or by a smaller by a large amount than it's supposed to be tickles my fancy.
That reminds me, when you go through Texas, they have these like little, the same places like everywhere, but they have these like little spots where you can get souvenirs and stuff. When I was a kid, I got one of these enormous toothbrushes.
Yeah.
It was gigantic. It was like way larger than even a hairbrush.
Nice.
And it was so funny. Just so funny to like just pretend.
Yeah, there's something about it that I enjoy so much, but I also like to use those things to make other people go, what the fuck? So we had one of my favorite ones is I used to be in charge of making the steak and onion soup at the Capri restaurant in Cottonwood, Arizona. I don't think it exists anymore because it had been like 5 different restaurants over the time we lived
changing.
there. But when I worked there, it was the Capri, and I was a prep line cook, a prep chef line cook. And I was in charge of making steak and onion soup. And it was, by all accounts, we kept getting like, compliments to the chef, and chef would go, tell him it was tiny. And because that's what the chef called me tiny because I was not tiny. But we had a ladle that had the scoop on it was as big as the pot in which I cooked the steak and onion soup. And so one time I put it in, and the handle looked just normal, like a normal ladle. And so it just looked like a ladle hand, and I cooked the soup, and then chef was like, how's that soup going? I was like, would you like a taste? And I pulled the ladle out, and he lost his mind. He's like, what the fuck, Tiny? And I was like, I know.
So you've been messing with your coworkers since the beginning. Okay, good.
I do like to do that. I want to make things more interesting.
Yeah. It's the little things.
Having to work for life is boring. And so but then I got these dice, and they are a standard set of D&D dice, 20-sided, 12-sided, 10-sided, 4-sided, 6-sided, right? The standard 7-piece set, but they are altogether smaller than most singular dice from a standard set.
So cute.
And so I like to put them in my hand, because my hand is large, and go, all right, I'm going to roll a saving throw. And then I can't close my hand enough to contain them in there because they're small enough to get out through the sides and stuff, or betwixt my fingers.
That's funny.
That kind of stuff. You also gave me a gigantic pencil that I took to AutoZone to work.
Yeah.
And I had a small
little sticky
set of sticky notes, a little tiny small sticky note pad, and the giant pencil. And I would sit at my desk and go like this. Like I would make like, I want to describe it because people can't see me. I would make like thinking faces,
pondering,
and then I would take the pencil and I would tap the eraser end of it on my chin while I was doing the thinky faces things. But because it was a giant pencil, my hand was like in my lap, and so I was just tapping my face with it. And then somebody would catch my eye, and I'd make like a rock. Can you smell what I'm cooking face? And then like I had an idea, surprised. And then I would pull the pencil up, take the pad, and signal to the person, pencil pad, and then I would write down a little note and I'd stick it to my computer. And then I'd lean back, cross my arms, and be just chuffed. Just like, okay, buddy. That was a great idea.
That's funny.
I had a lot of sticky notes on my computer monitor.
Yeah, you're silly.
Somebody asked me, what's the deal with all those sticky notes? And I was like, oh, this is how I do Twitter. I didn't want to sign up for the site. It felt selfish.
That was your little tweets that you were
They weren't real notes. They had real stuff on them. So people were like,
But you didn't share them. It was just for you.
Well, that's what Twitter actually is too, right? Like most of the time you tweet something and it's a crickets. And you're like, that was genius. I guess I'll follow up with another genius nugget.
My cheeks hurt.
Oh, I guess not. My very first tweet ever was in 2007. They had just opened it up, like I think 6 months before to normies. And my very first tweet you can go back and look, I haven't deleted it. It says, "This feels like yelling into the void."
Yeah.
And then later I said something similar about like, Twitter feels like being at a party and yelling at the wall. The whole thing's silly. The whole social media, just in general, is a silly thing. But it's this place where we are now, in some ways, trapped. Right? Like I feel like this whole thing with Twitter being sold to Elon Musk, he's going to make it into a worse place than it is now. Like no doubt, or at least have a hand in doing that. But I don't feel like I can leave the platform yet. And I've seen a lot of other people in my same position saying the same thing. Like, this sucks, but I can't, if I leave this platform, that's like career suicide for me. It's like a bad move to make. Yeah. And I 100% agree. I'm like, yeah, this is, what I do for a living. I have to be up on this stuff. I can't just I don't have the privilege to just shut it off. Yeah. Right? Like I try to stay off of those places. I am the most active on Twitter of the places because I have the most engagement and friends there. But, I'm on Facebook and I try to stay off of there as much as possible, but I feel like I can't not be on there at all. Yeah. Same with Instagram and YouTube and all the places, but none of them feel good to be on. Except for TikTok. TikTok's pretty fun. But also, like, nobody knows I'm on there. I have 30 followers and I don't know any of them except for, you guys. Yeah. On TikTok.
We should put some Lou and Me stuff on TikTok, I think.
We should just do a Lou and Me channel on TikTok, not try to put it on my fart and
no, I'm not going to put anything on your shit jokes. Yeah. So funny. Oh, clean hair is another one. I could be having like a yucky poopy day.
Sorry, I went way off.
You did. Sorry. I just thought of this. I could be having like, I've been doing lots of yard work for the last few weeks. Yeah. Trying to get the whole yard and the patio and all that stuff ready. I just felt really gross and yucky. So I just washed my hair in the sink. And if you grew up like we did, it was normal to see your mom like just bent over with her head in the sink, just washing her hair. And so I do it every once in a while. And it turns the whole thing around. It makes you feel nice. So freshly cleaned hair.
I have always liked the feel of all new clothes. Like one part of the outfit's not enough. Like you can't just get new underwear and be like, oh, this feels fresh. But if you got new underwear, new socks, new pants, new shirt, new shoes, then you're just like, all right. I feel like I'm fresh out of the catalog. And there's just something about it, but that feeling only occurs if it's all new. And I haven't had that feeling in a very, very long time. But the last time
you hate clothes shopping.
Yeah. The last time I remember having that feeling was like back in high school, getting clothes for the first day of high school or whatever, and just having a whole new outfit to go. I don't like clothes. I've never liked clothes shopping, even when I was a kid, just because it's
Mm-hmm.
But that feeling is nice. Also, warm towels or blankets out of the dryer. That's a nice one. Potatoes. Did I say that?
Yes, but that's my line.
Oh, something that does really give me a lot of joy is when I figure something out, code or design wise, that I otherwise was having trouble with. Like I ran into a wall and I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? And I leave and I come back and then I go, oh, what if I do this? And I try it and it works. And that's a great feeling.
Yeah.
That's one of those little joys.
I like that.
Yeah.
There's only 3 episodes right now, but we were watching Marie Kondo's new show.
Yeah.
And I always like how she approaches things when she goes to like tidy up spaces and help people tidying up their spaces. I'm doing our closet right now, which is kind of frustrating, but I'm trying to fit it in amongst all my other chores.
I like her ideal.
Yeah.
And I think she's adorable. And I like the show, generally speaking, but I'm having a hard time. I have a hard time with shows that require me to read subtitles.
Yeah.
Because I can't
keep up.
Well, my mind just doesn't want to do both things. It doesn't want to read and watch. So I have to choose one. And it has to be the reading one because otherwise I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And so that's really hard for me. And it's not a don't not speak English attitude. It's like my brain can't do those two things at once.
Right.
And so it feels confusing and frustrating for me to try.
Yeah.
And so it makes it really hard for me. So I tend to prefer dubs because I want to consume the content, but I do want to not have to do both things.
That's how we were able to watch Squid Game.
Yeah, the dub. And I know that there's like all kinds of problems with the dub, like
there's
mistranslations and like, you know, the lips and the words not matching. But I would rather watch it and get the gist.
Yeah. Than not watch it at all.
Because, you know, whatever's happening, right? But yeah, the Marie Kondo show is really hard for me.
I just like her energy and the way she approaches a project.
No, 100%. I love everything about the vibe.
Yeah.
But it's just for my brain, especially at night.
Yeah, where it's already tired.
I'm trying to split focus between visual and reading. Really hard for me, you know. So maybe I should just learn. No, I can't learn Japanese. That's a tough language.
Yeah.
Maybe I could, but I'd have to. I feel like
you're learning
like
sign language right now, though.
Yeah. Yes, but I'm hitting a wall on that too because I need immersion. I need to be able to communicate with somebody else.
Oh, I see.
So that they can be like, oh no, that's the wrong sign, or hey, no, don't do that one. You know, we think that's weird or whatever.
Right.
That kind of immersion, like, because I can just sit and look at the book and memorize the signs and then practice them at my desk. Oh, look at me doing all the signs, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not having conversations with people. So I'm not going to get to that next level. There's like these levels of language learning, right? And it's the same thing with like learning a new programming language too. You can go, oh, I understand the syntax and I understand the values that create this language, but I don't really get how to put them together. And I can't really understand that without somebody walking you through it in a way. But what I was saying about the like Japanese and Chinese and other character-based languages, I feel like they would be extremely difficult to learn without immersion.
Yes.
Like you move to Japan,
right?
You speak, read, write only Japanese until you got it down, right? That kind of like that level of like sink or swim.
Right. That's understandable.
Yeah. Just because I think because I was raised with this Latin-based language that has a ton of nuance, but also a ton of just wackadoo things in it. Whereas there's very much more structure over there in those character-based languages. And I just feel like it would be, you know, maybe it would be easier to learn, but I still think you'd need immersion.
Or at least one other
you have to also
teacher, person, you know, advisor.
Somebody you can have conversations with.
Yeah.
I also think that in some ways, like you have to retrain your tongue for some languages, right? Some languages have sounds you can't make as an English speaker.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's the same the other direction, right? And that's why you get heavy accents
Yeah.
when people speak English, is because there are some sounds in English that is harder for them to make because their tongue is used to making those other, or their mouths are used to making those
Yeah.
other sounds that they would use for the same
Yeah.
thing. I think it's all fascinating. Anyways, sorry. Language is fascinating.
It's true. I
I
like
can't. I'm wandering today, but I can't read and watch a thing at the same time
Yeah.
successfully without feeling anxiety.
yeah.
So
Like you're missing out on one or the other.
I feel like I'm missing out on some
Yeah.
part of it. Yeah.
So what else we watched the Batman. We watched the Batman. Okay, but I just want to say a couple things. You don't have to say anything because I already know I already know that it wasn't exactly what you were wanting, but there was.
Okay, you go ahead. And then
I'll do it.
Yeah.
There was a gritty feel, which I'm happy about. There were some really beautiful like shots, cinematography wise, that I adore. Robert Pattinson gives it a more
Did you say Pattinson?
yeah, I said Pattinson. Gives it a more human characteristic to the character, which I appreciated and liked. He also had a way better voice in and out of character that I liked. There's only one negative I have about the entire movie.
Okay.
It is the car. I was hoping that they would just do this souped up hot rod of some kind, but not that souped up, right? The base of the car, and then there's fights about this too, but there's the base of the car is like a 70s Barracuda or Charger or whatever. And then the fenders are from something different. And then it's got a Camaro front end to it. But then they put this like really huge fiery engine on the back of it. And I was like, yeah, boo. That's the only part of the entire movie.
Well, this is the only part.
like.
This is the only part of the movie I'm going to defend.
Oh no. Okay, go for it.
I think he doesn't have the real Batmobile yet. So what he's done is he's taken
Thankfully.
parts and slammed them together, Mad Max style.
I'm with you until the engine part.
Why?
I don't know. It's like
It
it's just
has to have that engine on it so
No.
he can catch people.
nah.
The car is pointless if he can't outrun people, right?
I don't know.
Plus, I think that part of it, specifically that part of it, was like a nod to the
I get it.
Batmobile, everybody.
I get
It
it.
isn't the Batmobile without the jet engine.
Everything else was really practical and really gritty and really cool and really
And
like
really boring.
no. Oh no.
This was a
It was very long, but I think reintroducing all of these things in the environment and his version of the character, it needed a lot more storytelling and a lot more like immersion, like you were saying before. It needed a lot more. I think it worked, but it was quite the lengthy thing. I still really loved it.
It was a 3-hour movie that could have been an hour and a half,
This
and
like
told the exact same story.
I don't know.
Robert Pattinson was
Pattinson.
he was wonderful. I think he does make a great Batman.
Yes.
Totally
I agree.
on board for his Batman.
Yes.
I
agree.
even like Selena Kyle in this, and I don't normally like the Catwoman character as a vehicle for plot movement because I feel like a lot of times they just make her the love interest
Yes.
as opposed to being an independent woman.
Agreed. And I like how they didn't do that with this one.
Well, they skirted the line on that, I think.
Zoe Kravitz did a great job
She
with
did
it.
a good job, but they still kind of made her his object.
Well, not necessarily his object, but like his equal.
No.
Like, not his equal, but someone that he could hang with because she was kind of doing the same in a kind of the same way.
I'll get that. I think that there's
Here,
way
at
more that
least.
could be done with her. The Penguin was unnecessary. Riddler was good, but the way I described this movie to somebody else is this: it was the movie Seven, except for Brad Pitt's character is wearing a costume.
No. Oh no.
It was unnecessary, and it made the costume absurd. The whole idea, and people argue with me that he's supposed to be a detective. Agreed. 100% agreed he's a detective. But the way that they approach this is they've grounded it so much into reality of our world as opposed to the mythology of Gotham in the comics. They grounded it so much into our world that it just made the guy wearing a costume absurd instead of intimidating or mysterious, which is what it's supposed to be in the comic book, right? In the comic book, Gotham is a crazy place. It's nothing like the worst thing we have in our world. It's insane. It's a circus. And so a man dressing up like a bat and being a detective vigilante makes sense in that context. But Matt Reeves strips so much stuff back that he just set Batman, the character, into our world. Gotham is essentially New York. And it's not that bad. And so it's just absurd that he shows up dressed like this bat guy. And then the story had a ton of filler that was unnecessary. And there was so many scenes where it was like, what are you thinking about, Batman? And Robert Pattinson just slowly looks at the camera. Like 6 minutes of movie of just him doing what I'm now calling the bat turn. And then they're like adding in like we should get you someplace safe. Yeah, do that. Next scene, they're someplace safe. No. Next scene, long winding road of motorcycle driving together. The fuck? The movie didn't need to be that long. It just didn't. And it made me sad because if you took out all of the parts that were just gratuitous and extraneous, and you lifted up the absurdity of everything else to match Batman's absurdity, I think it would have been the best Batman movie of all time.
I still think it's that, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
Do. A lot of people disagree with me, and that's fine. I don't think
it's about disagreeing. It's
100% disagreeing.
I don't disagree with you. You make good points. I'm just saying that if this is what we're going to get, I'd rather have this than, Robin of any kind whatsoever.
I think they could do the Robin character well. The problem is that they're always trying to match the energy of the old Adam West TV show Robin with Batman and Robin. Whenever they introduce Robin, and they never get serious enough with it. Yeah. Right? They tried a little bit, I think, in the Dark Knight Rises, where they introduced basically that Gordon Levitt.
Gordon Jordan.
His character is basically Robin, right? Like hint at that at the end.
Because his name is Robin.
If they could have took that to the next level, and that might have been good. But there was a lot of problems in the Nolan Batman verse too. Like there has, in my eyes, has not been a perfect Batman yet, but there has been a lot of fun Batmans. And this one didn't feel fun.
Oh boy.
Right?
Yeah.
It felt like watching Seven.
Okay.
But only if they had rated it like PG-13 because there wasn't any gore. I don't want people to go out and go, there's gore in the new Batman? No. But there's a similar character in that the Riddler is like doing crimes and he wants to get caught and he's playing a game with the Batman.
He's leaving clues. Which
is basically John Doe from Seven. Okay. He's leaving clues. He's trying to get caught. He finally just gives himself up. Like the Riddler does. Spoilers, sorry.
Oh, no.
He finally just gives himself up because he wants to have he wants to have a conversation with Brad Pitt, Batman. It's Seven. And it's...
Okay. Well, you make good points. But...
I don't know. I know a lot of people think
it's okay.
That I'm nuts.
You're allowed to have your own opinions. I'm just saying, what the hell about the car? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, all right.
Well, then don't even get us started about Moon Knight.
Well, Moon Knight's for another episode.
Okay. Because I had high hopes, but the coolest part, I don't know.
Yeah. Let's do Moon Knight on a different episode. Let's leave it at the Batman because I just got totally hyped.
All right. Anyways.
I'll put in the show notes about spoilers so people know that there's Batman spoilers at the end of this one.
Okay.
Anyways, I love you.
I love you too.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Lou and Me podcast, subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, or Spotify.
And follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Lou and Me Podcast.
Lou and Me is a Matthiasaurus production, produced and edited by Moose. The song is No Carpets by The New Forevers, hosted by Lou and me.
Thanks for listening.